I'm Coach Corey Wayne, and this is my video coaching newsletter. And the topic of this newsletter is going to be pushing for a commitment. I've got a quote that I'd like to share with you before we get into this guy's email here. And it says, the purpose of all relationships is that we go there to give, not to possess or control the other person out of our own feelings of inadequacy, neediness, or insecurity. We must allow the other person the time and space to feel free to love us and be loved by us. If the person we love feels like we are trying to make them commit to something they are not ready for, they will quickly leave the relationship. Allow love to happen instead of trying to make it happen. Let's go ahead and jump right in. He says, hey Corey, I love your stuff and thanks for the opportunity to ask a question regarding our own particular romantic situation. In a nutshell, I've been dating a woman for the past 2 years who I really like. In fact, I love her. We met shortly after her divorce of 16 years. She's got 3 kids from the marriage too, whom I've met, but haven't had any real significant contact with. That is really important. Because when a woman is comfortable with you, when she's in love with you, when she feels close to you, she feels comfortable introducing you to her children. But if she's always keeping you at arm's length or at a distance, that is indicative of her true level of attraction for you. And I speak from experience. I've dated a lot of women that had kids and have had the great honor of helping them raise their children, obviously, over the years that we were together. Kids are amazing. Kids are our most amazing teachers. He says, and with the exception of one other guy whom she casually dated when we took a 5-month break when we were apart physically, and her ex-husband, I am the only other man she's ever been with. So she says. Things had been going very well, and we always have a great time together. I have kept any neediness in check very successfully. We are great, intimate friends, are very supportive of each other, and the sex has been great. In fact, I think I opened her eyes to enjoying sex big time. Because she said before me she never really liked it at all, and now she loves sex. He says, well, good job, dude. Obviously, you've been laying the pipe pretty well, my friend. He said, recently, however, I could definitely feel doubts beginning to creep in on her end. She's in a major transition in life. He's got a lot of letters in bold here. And so this tells me he's trying to rationalize and make excuses for the fact that she's slowly backing away. Now, one of the things you got to consider is like when you're dating a woman who's recently out of a marriage or a long-term relationship when they've been together for a lot of years, they can become very flaky and hot and cold from one moment to the next. So it's kind of like playing with fire at times, and it's also going to be frustrating as fuck because things seem to be going well, and then all of a sudden, then she starts backing away. It's just because her emotions are all over the fucking place like a ping pong ball. He says she just finished grad school, got a new apartment, and is applying for a new job and career. I was pretty aware that her interest was waning slightly, and she seemed to get bored more easily. And my response to this was to back off and give her the space she needed. He says he called and texted her much less. Well, that tells me that obviously you were already texting her too much. That's why she backed off. Or that's why she was backing off, because you were starting to pursue, probably as you became more emotionally attached and interested in her. And probably, you know, because, what did he say, 2 years, was it? Oh, so you've been dating this girl for 2 years and you still haven't met her kids. That is like a major red flag, dude. That tells me that you're really not as close to this girl as you think you are. And so if she's out of a relationship, you're probably somebody that she's been hooking up with and in her mind helping her get over what obviously the relationship or her marriage ending. But, you know, the fact that she's not involving you at all over the course of 2 years in her kids' lives, you know, that tells me that she's kept you at arm's length because that's what she feels. If after 2 years of dating she's not completely head over heels in love with you, you've been fucking up a lot. And obviously probably doing a lot of things you didn't even know were wrong. That's what the typical guy is doing. And so you literally are doing things to talk her out of loving you. You're pushing her away because you're over pursuing her. You're trying too hard to make things happen, trying to lock her down, get her to a commitment, those kinds of things. And how do I know? You dated somebody for 2 years. And And women I've dated, it didn't take 2 years. I mean, literally within a month or two, I'm hanging out with their kids and we're doing things together, and she's in love with me. And so, like I said, that tells me that you're doing a lot of things and so I would encourage you to read my book, because there's a lot of things that you're doing and saying you don't even know are actually turning her off. So he says, after obviously he backed off, and she seemed to be becoming bored. That's another thing. So you're hanging out and she's not trying to carry the conversation. That is indicative of a woman who's just really not that excited to see you. It's because you're too easy, you're too available, you're around all the time, and more than likely she could tell that you're more into her than she is to you. So he says, then a week ago, without any real warning, the signs are there, just from what I've read so far, obviously she dumped you, or gave you the let's just be friends speech, or she wanted to back up. He says she gave me the I've never been on my own, stood on my own 2 feet speech. And all that tells me is I'm not ready for a commitment, and I know what you want, and you want me to be committed to you, and I'm not ready for that. After 2 years, she would have been the one bringing it. If you'd been treating her right, she would have brought up being committed to you after only a few months of falling in love, and she'd want you to be involved in her children's lives because she'd be excited that she's got a man in her life that she's crazy about to introduce to her children. He said that she couldn't commit to me right now. Well, obviously that tells me you were pushing for a commitment. He says because she wasn't sure and just doesn't know what is out there. So in other words, she's enjoyed her time with you, but she wants to play the field, because what she feels about you emotionally is that she doesn't feel that you're better than any potential option out there. In other words, she's got doubts because of how she feels about you. And it's a direct result of how you're showing up. You're pushing for a commitment. And the quote that I've shared numerous times from Thach Nhat Hanh, I believe is how you pronounce it, you must love in such a way that the person you love feels free. And I can tell this girl did not feel free. That's why she wiggled out and she took off on you. She said there was no one else in the picture, but she needed some time and space and didn't want to end up cheating on me or doing something stupid some night with somebody random. So in other words, she's thinking, hey, I want to fuck somebody else, but want to break up with you first because I don't feel like I'm doing something wrong. So she was breaking it off for now, but she didn't want to lose me in her life. God, it's like they all say this. It's like robotically they say the same excuses. Doesn't matter what side of the world they're on, they all say the same shit. It's absolutely amazing to me. After talking to thousands of people over the years, it's like you just see it over and over and over. The same patterns, the same excuses. He says, but she didn't want to lose me in her life or lose me as a friend, and I told her straight up I loved her and I wanted to be with her, but I didn't have any interest in just being friends. Well, good for you for having the balls to actually say that. Because most guys would totally bitch out and go, okay, I'll go along with being friends, in hopes that she'll later change her mind. He says, and I respect her need to do what she needs to do, but that it definitely would change things between us, and it very likely would change how I felt about her and if she hooked up with someone else. So in other words, you're basically saying, I'm going to be celibate until you figure out what you want, and if you sleep with another guy, I'm going to be really, really mad at you. He says, she's definitely hurting and grieving and doesn't know if it's the right move or that she even wants this. Let me read that again. She's hurting and grieving and doesn't know if it's the right move or that she even wants this. She's breaking up with you, but I'm not sure if I want this. In other words, I'm not sure I want to break up with you. It's amazing. Because what she's doing is she's trying to soften the blow. She's trying not to hurt your feelings. But she felt that if she didn't do it now, she would always wonder and never be sure. Well, I can tell you this. She's definitely sure that at least at this point in time, she doesn't want to be with you. And I'm sorry that's just the reality of things, dude. He says, I really do believe it's as much about the larger picture of her being independent and having her own freedom. I can tell you, dude, it's a total reflection of how you're showing up. Women do not dump men that they are in love with and chasing. And obviously, you were doing all the chasing and pursuing. In essence, you probably assumed the woman's role in the relationship. He says, but I also do think that possibly a fairly decent chunk of it is about playing the field and sowing her oats a bit. You're just not fulfilling her needs. She doesn't, after 2 years, she's not head over heels in love with you, and she knows what she wants. She wants to feel that connection with the guy, and she's not feeling it with you, so therefore she's decided she's going to go get it somewhere else. She tried texting me a pseudo-romantic, intimate text several days later, but I did not respond, and now she has not texted or called since. Now I know that as much as I want to call, text, communicate with her, I can't and won't, and I just need to let her do her thing, and I did leave the door open, so I know contact has to come from her. The way I would have responded to that text is like, hey, it's great to hear from you. When you want to hang out, let me know. Hang out, have fun, and hook up. That's what you should be focused on with this girl. Instead, you're complicating things by hovering around her and trying to force her into a relationship or a commitment with you. He says, my big quandary is not whether or not she'll come back. I think the chances are decent that she will. And if she doesn't, it's a moot point anyway. He says, the big question is whether or not I can accept the fact that she may and very likely will date and hook up or even sleep with another guy. I'm pretty sure, dude, she's probably already got another guy lined up, but she was honorable enough to tell you ahead of time that she wanted to break up first before she got involved with another guy. So he says, sex is a pretty sacred thing to me, and while I'm definitely no prude, not by a long shot, the thought of her giving herself to another guy just because she can and is free to do so drives me insane. Well, you're not her boyfriend, dude. I'm sorry. You're not in a relationship with her, and it's really none of your fucking business what she does. That's why you should be dating and hanging out and having fun with other women. Moving on with your life. A man who has self-respect and self-worth, that's what he's going to do. And you're sitting around waiting on this girl to figure it out. But she already figured it out. She figured it out enough to dump you. He says, I really have no desire in dating or hooking up with anybody else, though that seems to be part of your advice in some of your videos. Well, she's moving on, dude. Wake up. He says, I haven't had or made or responded to any contact in over a week, and it's killing me. Well, I don't tell you to ignore the woman. And if you want her to come back and then she starts coming back and you ignore her, I say, what do you hope to accomplish? Hang out, have fun, and hook up. When you hear from her, you're like, hey, babe, great to hear from you. When are you free to get together? I'd love to see you. Make a date to hang out, have fun, and hook up. And don't pursue her in any way. Wait for her to call you and reach out to you. Now, why would you do that? That's because she dumped you. She's pushing you away. And pursuing her is not going to get her back. Letting her come back to you at her own pace by being mysterious and moving on with your life, that's what actually creates attraction. It's a scientific fact that women are more attracted to men whose feelings are unclear. He says, but I'm staying strong about it, and the $25,000 question is, what can I do that will give me the best possible chances of getting her back in my life? And even more so, how do I deal with the reality of her having hooked up and slept with somebody else? Get over it, dude. It's none of your fucking business. You're not with her. She can do whatever she wants with her body, just like you can do the same. He says, I really think this woman is special, and there's a lot between us. Well, obviously, there's not as much between the two of you as you thought. You got dumped. You're ignoring reality. He says, I'm pretty darn certain that there is at least a 51%, if not good deal, more interest on her side for me, and I just don't know the best way to proceed and how I can detach enough from the thought of her with someone else that I could embrace her 100% back into my life. Well, that's exactly why you should start meeting and dating other women. I wrote an article a while ago called The 3 Ways to Seduce Women. There's 3 different methods in there you can use, and make sure you click all the blue links in the text there that detail the specific techniques and strategy for each specific method. When you hear from her, make a date to hang out, have fun, and hook up. Keep it simple. That's all you should do, and you should not look at her as a potential girlfriend, but just as somebody to hang out, have fun, and hook up with. And if she wants to be committed, she'll bring it up. And until you hear that, keep hanging out, having fun, and hooking up. If you'd like to get my help with a situation that you're in or a challenge that you're having in your life, you can book a paid phone coaching session with me personally by going to my website and clicking the products tab at the top of your screen. And I will talk to you soon.